Welkom bij deze speciale uitzending van Security Innovation Stories. Vandaag zijn we op Cybersec Netherlands, waar wij speciale gasten ontvangen, sprekers, innovators en gewoon mensen met een mening. Laten we beginnen.
Welcome, Mike. It's very nice to see you in real life.
Yes.
We've done an interview before. We're here at Cybersec. You had your presentation yesterday, and we were just chatting about it. And I was saying how I wasn't super enthusiastic with the numbers, but you said that you were quite enthusiastic. So your presentation was about European resilience. So give me a debrief.
Yeah. Well, so the theme was cybersecurity economics in Europe, and how to build kind of a resilient future in an uncertain time. And being a return on security, I try to focus on data the most. And doing that, I thought, well, I need to pull a bunch of data to see what is the real facts, what is the lay of the land, and then what story does that tell, or can I pull from that? And I used a bit of a polarizing view between Europe and the U.S. in terms of overall aggregation of funding numbers and AI and security funding, and they look very, very different, obviously, because the U.S. is kind of the main central point for pretty much all cyber funding in the world. But using that data, showing over time how there is a gradual but consistent increase in European funding in Europe, I thought was very positive a sign, especially given of all the AI security hype. And a lot of investing dollars chase hype, especially now with AI, because it's too big of a wave not to get a hold of in almost every way you can, because the implications of it coming real and true are far too great to ignore. So, but it's good to see how that's now pushing up the rest of the cyber industry. And that combined with consistent growth in Europe funding, for me, shows that's a good sign. AI is now enabling more businesses to be created and funded locally, as opposed to having to go externally. And so I thought that from a European standpoint, that's a good thing.
And what do you think Europe should still do? I mean, you've been living here now for 2 years?
Yeah, a little over 2 years. I think there's obviously there's cultural differences everywhere in the world, but I think part of it comes down to encouraging entrepreneurship a bit more. Not to say that everyone needs to be an entrepreneur, but entrepreneurs often create businesses and create jobs for people. And so those are net positive things to any economy, is to encourage that, their business creation, value creation, job creation, and then businesses go on, they mature, people leave businesses to start new businesses. And so it can create a good virtuous cycle. And I think there could be a lot more of that in Europe. And I think that should be kind of culturally celebrated and enabled financially, and from all that perspective in the government as well.
Yeah. And I mean, you've seen a lot of data from the past. Do you think European growth will continue, or what developments do you expect?
Yeah, so I do think growth will continue. I think now, a lot more things are possible because AI is becoming so ubiquitous. To build a business, technology or software business now is to use AI. There's no separation now. And this is a basic expectation of not only founders, but investors and employees as well. People are expected to use it to build and do their job. And so I think that's going to enable a lot more things that probably weren't possible before, even just a few years ago, now is more possible. So that means more ideas, more chances of people building on that. So I do think there'll be more growth and more investments globally, but also in Europe as well. And I think those are all net positive things, yeah.
And what do you think about the AI developments? Because in the US, there's a lot of investment in AI. In Europe, a lot less.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So it comes down to, different nations are trying to win the AI arms race, but that's done through private companies. It's not really a government thing, because private companies are what's driving most of the tech sector in general, like Google. And think about OpenAI and these big companies. They're not affiliated with any government, but they are affiliated with nations, and that's where people are trying to put all of their power and their time and investments into. And so I do think there's a growing sovereign AI movement in Europe, which I think is great, but there needs to be more. Basically, just anything we can do, just put a 10x in front of it. That needs to continue to go, because that's going to continue to build the ecosystem there. It's not enough to just have a bit of a microcosm, and if there's somebody has to have a line drawn and a stance on this space, Each nation has to have that, and they figure out where their allegiances lie and where they're tied into that as well. So, yeah, I think it's positive though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one last comment, like I'm quite curious what you think about the event here, because when I look around, I also went to Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, which is one of the biggest telecom conferences in Europe. When you walk around there, you see AI everywhere on every stand, and here it's quite absent in a way. Like, how did you experience Cybersec Netherlands?
This is my first time at Cybersec Netherlands, and I like it. It's small, but it's also kind of like compact, but high value, I would say. Like, so a lot of great talks, not even including my own, but like there were a lot of good topics represented. But it was interesting that AI was not the first and foremost thing you saw everywhere. I did think that's different from other places I've been, where that is the only thing you talk about, and that may be a sign of how AI is just baked in. It's just assumed. Yeah, you're going to use AI. Of course, we're using AI. We don't need to talk about how we're using AI because it's in there. And I think people have gotten a bit smarter too about knowing like AI is not the product. It is a means to the kind of end result and the goals. And so smartly using it, smartly relying on it, or smartly using it to enhance things, I think is like the smart way to do it, or the right way to do it. And I've seen more companies try to follow that suit. But if you talk to any company on the floor here, yeah, they're using it in various ways, probably many, many different ways. But it's that in and of itself is not the core reason for being here. And to me, like kind of looking at the industry broadly, I think that's the right maturation of the industry. Like in most of these worlds, like AI doesn't exist unto itself. It is folded into other parts of tech and cyber. Yeah. They become, critical components to build those other things, not just exist to itself.
Yeah. Agree, and that's a nice last comment for this interview today. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
and
thanks for having me.
I hope that we will meet again at a future event.
Yes, likewise. Good to meet you in person in real life too.